Hey guys, this is Arpan from Cloudmandu, and today we're going to be talking about the Python programming language. Now, before we get started, I'd like to state that this is not a tutorial, and this is more of an informational video about Python and a guide on how to learn it. Alright, so to begin, Python is an interpreted high-level programming language and follows a dynamic typing discipline. As of now, in 2021, Python is one of the most popular programming languages that people are learning and is widely used. Due to its simple syntax and ease of use, you can write code to develop programs in Python very quickly. It's almost like English. It's become very popular among data scientists, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. It's also a good pick for web development since it has frameworks like Django and Flask. It also has a wide range of libraries and a very active community. In addition to this, there are many companies using Python due to its simplicity, and it's a great pick for learning a language. Python is a general purpose language. It can be used for many things. It's used a lot in machine learning and artificial intelligence and is favored by data scientists. But these are not the only use cases of Python. In addition, Python can be used for many other things. It can be used in web development, game development, GUIs, software development, system administration, and automation. I personally learned Python as my first language and have built many things with it, including full-stack web applications using Flask, games, and GUIs. You can view this from my site, which is in the description. Companies like Instagram, Spotify, Google, Reddit, and Dropbox also use Python. Now that you know what Python is and what it's used for, you might be wondering why you'd like to use it. The first reason is because there is an active community of Python developers. If you run into any error or bug, you can reach out on platforms like Reddit and Stack Overflow and someone will definitely reply to you. Another reason is because of the simplicity of the language. It's incredibly easy to learn and is very beginner friendly. Once you start learning Python, the syntax of the language is incredibly easy to understand. This is one of the reasons why Python is so popular. Another reason is that it's a great first programming language. Python introduces you to the basics of programming and how programming works. Once you start learning, you'll start to develop that developer mindset. So now that we know what Python is, how it's used, and why you should use it, here are some practical use cases with Python. Some practical use cases of Python are in web development, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and data analytics. Here on the screen you can see a web app I made with Python, and Python has web frameworks like Django and Flask for web development. Flask is a bit easier than Django and you can have more control over your app using Flask, but if you're building something more sophisticated and have more experience, Django is the way to go. In terms of machine learning libraries, you can use libraries like TensorFlow and scikit-learn. These libraries provide machine learning algorithms, or you can make your own. Machine learning can be used for detection for objects, adds-on applications, facial recognition, etc. For data analytics, you can use a library called pandas. Now, Python nowadays can be used for anything, but these are the practical use cases that Python developers are using it for. Alright, so now that you know the things that you can do with Python and all that good stuff, we can start talking about the core concepts. So number one, you should learn the basic data types, variables, conditional statements, operators, loops, the differences between mutable and immutable objects, control flow, and functions. Now, this may seem like a lot, but these things won't take too long to learn. Once you learn these, you can move on to building a few simple projects. Some projects I'd recommend are CLI scripts, simple games that run in the CLI, age calculator, you get the point. Once you do all of that, you can start learning intermediate Python. In this stage, you should start learning about OOP or object-oriented programming, data structures, virtual environments, a few algorithms, packages, etc. Once you learn the intermediate concepts, you can start building more complex projects like web apps, games with graphics, build some type of backend service, etc. In terms of advanced projects, you can learn those as you progress. Okay, so now that you finally know the things you need to know about Python in order to get started, I'm going to be talking about the best way to learn it. Now, to start off, you need to get a real good hold of the basics. To learn the basics, you can follow tutorials, documentation, courses, etc. I'd recommend spending an hour each day on learning the basics to ensure that you're confident. Once you learn the basics and have some idea on how code is executed and all that, you can build a couple projects to test your understanding. Once you build about 4 to 6 simple projects like a tic-tac-toe game, for example, you have built a good foundation and are ready to move on to more beginner to intermediate level projects. This part you can apply everything you've learned from the basics, and if there's anything new to add, you can use the internet as a resource to learn things along the way. If you build about 6 projects that are around the intermediate level, like 2D or 3D games for example, you can move on to building advanced projects like machine learning projects, full-blown web apps, clones of other apps, etc. And the reason I'm telling you to do projects is because the best way to learn Python is by building things out and doing things with Python. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope that this video was informative and gave you an idea on what Python is and where you can use it. If you're interested in learning Python, make sure to hit like and subscribe. With that being said, see you in the next video.